Hi, this is Pei-I. Welcome to You Ask Pei-I Answers. Today I'm going to answer to one of the most challenging not dilemma, like difficult is the parents are facing these days, and that is about bullying. And it's not just about teenage children, it's also with primary children and probably nursery. And you know what? Truth to be told, even in workplace when we're adults, bullying still is taking place. So, but before I dive into share my thoughts and strategies about how parents can support their teenage children who experience bullying, let's talk about my disclaimer. And it's really important for me to share this part because every single strategy and or insights I'm sharing, it's generic and it doesn't necessarily fit or suit every family. And if you have been following me and my video or my content, you will know there will always be a family context and family circumstances to think about. So if what I'm sharing with you today don't fit into your family circumstances and context, please simply move on. Do not use the strategies, okay? However, I do hope some of the principles and general ideas will be helpful and will be able to inspire some thinking so then you can support your teenager who is experiencing bullying and going forward. However, let's come back to this. As I said earlier, bullying is a really difficult and challenging experience for parents and for teenagers as well, because how worse can it get to watch your children and watch your teenage children being bullied in school, and how that made them feel? They could be feeling really hurt, sad, disappointed, isolated, scared, and no parents want to see their teenage children, or I mean, when I'm saying teenage children, you can also think about this as a primary age children, right? Nobody will want to see their teenage children experience bullying. However, there's another side of a story about the people who bully, the children who bully others, but we're not going to talk about it today. We can think about in another video. But let's think about bullying. If your teenage children been bullied, it's really painful. There are definitely steps you can take. However, I do want to share what I think is the most important steps to take before anything ever happens. And that is to educate your children, your teenage children, about bullying. And it's just like you're educating them about your body's going to change, you're going to grow hair when you turn into the teenager, and you're going to have, the hormones are going to kick about and everything. So I think this is really important. We're going to be doing the same thing for our teenage children, is teach them what bullying is. What's the chat? What does the behavior look like, and what do they need to do when they been bullied? Who they can go to when they've been bullied in school or in the park or wherever they are, or what strategies they can use to manage that. And the reason I'm advocating this part as the most important part of the intervention, because it's a bit like the fire drill or the earthquake drill. And I think I talk about this very often. I grew up in Taiwan, and there was a lot of earthquake. I think there is still a lot of earthquake. There were a lot of earthquakes, and we always have to do an earthquake drill. So then we remember the route, we remember the safety measurement. What do we need to do in those high alert moment? Because seriously, in those moments, your brain will panic. You will possibly freeze. You see so many films like when the truck is gonna hit them, they just freeze, or when the ball is gonna throw in their face, they just freeze. And it's happening. It can happen, right? And it will happen. So it's really important for the government in Taiwan to support and help the families and people in Taiwan to understand and get familiar with the process. So we had a lot of earthquake drills throughout my childhood, like in school, I don't know how often, but it's really, really often, because they want us to know if the earthquake does happen, what can we do? And it does embed in your brain because you did it so very often. And it's the same principle. We want to teach our teenage children what bullying really is. Like I said, what bullying really is, what sort of things will be considered as bullying, and what do you need to do when you experience bullying, who you can speak to, what sort of the feelings you might have, how might that possibly make you feel, and what strategy can you use to help yourself feel safe. These are very, very important preventative steps that I think every single parents need to think about with their teenage children and prepare them. It's like they're not going to war or they're not going to the battle, but I think knowledge is power. So having that conversation with your teenage children is really important. I think will be the first step for any parent of teenagers, to have that conversation with their teenagers and then do the drill. When now and then do the drill. So what are you gonna do if you experience bullying? Who can you speak to in the school? Who can help you? How can you take yourself away? So that is very, very important. However, unfortunately, you know what? Sometimes teenage children still experience bullying, even if you have put the most important measurement in place. Life is unpredictable and we can't always shield them from the negativity. However, thinking through the first step will support them to be able to navigate the challenges if they do experience easier. So if your teenage children do experience bullying, and I hope they will come to you and speak about their feelings. Sometimes teenagers don't want to speak about their feelings when they've been bullied, because they probably think like, I'm not going to be the grass, and if I get bullied and if I speak to someone, what will be the worst outcome of that? And they could be threatened by these people. If you dare to tell anybody or the teachers, this is what's going to happen to you. So there's a lot of fear and there's a lot of worries in them. And that's why I'm talking about it's so important to do the first time thinking with your teenage children. These might happen, and these happen, what are you going to do? So then when your teenager coming to speak to you, you can listen to them, and then think about how you can talk about the bullying, talking about the experiences, think about who do you really need to approach now in school? Who can help you to keep your teenage children safe? Is it a guidance teacher? Is it a teacher? Is it a counselor? So it's really, really important to think about it. The other bit is what we want to think about your teenage feeling. The other bit is about document the bullying. You never know, this might become a very important document so you can feedback to the school, or you might need to take some action to phone the police if things get really, really bad. What we also want to do is help your teenage children, like I said earlier, is build coping mechanism. How can I deal with the feelings that come from being bullied, the anxieties, the fear, the worries, how can they use strategies to calm themselves, to help them feel safer? And like I said earlier, it's not just about your teenager. The school needs to do the part. The people around the teenagers need to help them to feel safe again. Connect them with support. It could be friends, it could be clubs, it could be anybody they trusted, so then they can talk about these things and feel safe. And most importantly, you need to make sure you stay informed and involved, because your teenager needs your protection to go through this journey. I have never shared this part. Actually, I was actually bullied in school, and I was also bullied at work. It's been a Asian lady in the Western society, but I will not talk about the work part. I was bullied in school, but I didn't know what that was because nobody ever taught me that was bullying. All I knew was my friends kept making fun of me. The boys kept making fun of me back then about the way I dress, the way I look, my hair. But I was bullied. I just thought, like, what, it's the normal boys and girls teasing, but little did I know, I actually hated school. I hated going to school. I hated seeing these people who make fun of me all the time. But back then, do parents know about bullying? Maybe not as much. So, and it did affect how I was. It did affect my confidence going to school. It did affect my social circle in terms of who I could trust, who could be my friends, right? So And I work through that, you know, but it's a story for another time. But remember, these are the steps you can take to support your teenager who experience bullying. And remember, the first part I said is the preventative steps, is teach them what bullying is, the feelings, and what they can do. And if your teenage children are experiencing bullying, and I'm really sorry to hear that, there are still steps you can take to make your teenager feel safe. And that is about listening to them, keep informed, document, you know, the bullying, come up with speak to the school, come up with a safety plan as to how to keep them separated, or steps they can make so they are not experiencing or not targeted in the school, who they can speak to. And then also along with the coping mechanism, how do we deal with these feelings, and also remember to document the bullying, which will become a very important document for you going forward if you need to take legal action or need to phone the police. Okay, I hope this is helpful. And there's a lot of websites like is supporting bullying, which I'll put in the link as well, so you can access them. Okay, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.